That's easily a 9 out of 10 soda. What's going on, guys? For those of you that are new to the channel, my name is Ty, and today in this video, we're going to be talking about the How to Train Your Dragon live action remake that just came out in theaters. Is it good or did it utterly disappoint? That's what I want to talk about here today. But listen, before we actually dive into the film, I want to give you guys my own personal background on the two main factors that this film is made up of. First of all, How to Train Your Dragon, obviously, as a franchise, and also my thoughts on the live action remakes. I'm just going to be completely honest with you guys. Even though I was born in 2002, so this movie came out, like the original, I should say, in 2010. This movie came out at a perfect time for me. I actually never watched it as a kid, and I just watched it for the first time 2 days ago. I thought it was great. Honestly, I feel like I've missed out because I was such a Disney-centric kid. But either way, I just love all animated films, and I'm happy that I finally checked it out. I watched the second one. I thought it was okay. I still gotta watch the third one. But yeah, I definitely enjoyed this franchise. Love these characters. So honestly, going into this, I was sort of excited. But I say sort of because of the fact that, now switching over to the other part, I am not a fan of the live-action remakes. I've reviewed plenty of them on here. I've given most of them bad reviews. Don't get me wrong, I've given some of them their flowers for being, like, moderately enjoyable or just, you know, at least just putting a smile on my face at some points. But in reality, I just wish they did not exist. But with that being said, was the How to Train Your Dragon live-action remake actually good or not? I want to start off by saying this. Out of the 70 reviews that I have posted in the past 2+ years, I just looked on my channel. This is my 71st review. I have never, ever been more conflicted on a film than with this movie that I'm talking about right now, because I literally do not know what to rate this movie. Honestly, though, I understand that it's not always about ratings and stars. I'm going to be rating this movie at the end, though, so stick around for that. But it's more just that I just don't know what to think about this movie. I literally don't know what to think, because it's the same exact film, sort of, as the first movie, but now it's live action. And my brain doesn't know how to comprehend that, because a lot of the other live action remakes, I feel like a lot of their issues has been that they felt lifeless, they felt soulless, it feel like they changed a lot of things that made the stories worse. But just to be very clear, one thing that I need to make very clear is that I actually really enjoyed this movie. I had a lot of fun with the How to Train Your Dragon live action remake. And I feel like sometimes, quite honestly, I am a bit pretentious about it, because I feel like it is one of these things where these movie studios, they're becoming, you know, just these milk factories where they're just milking the cow to death with sequels, live action remakes. They're just using nostalgia to sell as many tickets as they possibly can, because honestly, these movie studios have just been getting more greedy and greedy and greedy. But I'm not gonna lie, this movie was good. I really enjoyed it. And I think there's two reasons why I enjoyed this movie so much. First of all, even though it's live action, just separating that, it follows the story very closely. There's a couple changes which we'll talk about for the better, honestly, or worse maybe. But in reality, I mean, again, it's not exactly 100% accurate. This is sort of a shot-for-shot remake of the original film. Now, the original film is an hour and I want to say 38 minutes. This new film is 2 hours and 5 minutes, but you don't feel it at all. And I don't even know where those extra like 20+ minutes came from. It's more so that instead of like 10-minute scenes added or 5-minute scenes, I feel like every once in a while there's 20 more seconds added here, 20 more seconds added here, 20 seconds here, 30 seconds here. It's like in small little increments, and I think that was a good idea, just to add, you know, maybe like another joke or another little line of dialogue that isn't too serious. I think that was a good idea. The second main factor as to why I think this is actually the best live action remake is because it actually has a heart to it. This doesn't feel like a husk of the original film. It more so just feels like retelling the original story in a new format, in a new medium. And I think that's why I enjoyed it so much. Moving on from there though, getting into more of the details, the cast here, okay? You're bringing in your star cast, because of course that's what these live action remakes do. They bring in the stars, right? Gerard Butler, of course, reprising his role from the voice actor performance. But since he actually looks like Hiccup's dad, I guess it does make sense. It's just one of these things where, yeah, they brought in a bunch of actors, but it kind of feels like they're all just having so much fun. And it's not like career best performances from every single person in here, but you feel the fun energy. And don't get me wrong, all these people got paid, but you could say that about any movie. But it doesn't feel like they're phoning it in. They're like, oh, I'm just here for the paycheck. It just seems like everyone was just having a good time on set. And I feel like that translates well to the final product. And you could tell Starting off, though, with our main character here, just getting into more of the details, you've got Mason Thames, I believe is his name, or Thames, I'm not really sure how to say his last name, as Hiccup. He's a bit different from the original Hiccup in the original film, especially because he has a much different voice. I feel like Hiccup's voice is like, his main factor, that like when you think of Hiccup, that's what you think of. He more has just a normal voice. But I kind of liked it. I like that this is sort of like a different take on the character. Don't get me wrong, he's still the same Hiccup that we know from the original, but, he just feels a bit different because naturally he's gonna. You've got a new person playing him. It's in live action, so it's not as, like, silly as animation. From there, you've got Nico Parker, I believe is her name, playing Astrid. I thought she was also awesome, I'm not gonna lie. I think she was pretty much just as good as the original character, if not, in some ways, better than the original Astrid. Then you've got, like I just mentioned, Gerard Butler. The guy, again, he's an acting veteran, and this is the point of his career where you think he'd just start phoning it in and being like, whatever. But he just gave such a good, genuinely awesome performance in this. Like, again, it's not going to win any Oscars, but I'm just saying you feel him, like, having fun. You feel his energy. And another underrated aspect is going to be Nick Frost, playing the buddy of Gerard Butler's character, who quite honestly I forgot his name. I just think that he was such a standout for me, honestly. Nick Frost, obviously, he's always with Simon Pegg and Edgar Wright, but when he really gets in his groove, when you see him on his own, I think he's awesome, and I'm very excited to see him as Hagrid in the Harry Potter show, because this just gave me a little bit more of a taste for what he's been doing as of recently. But getting into the film, right? Again, I'm just a bit conflicted still, because I feel like these live-action remakes, right? In a way, they're anti-art, because you're just redoing the same film over again, clearly to make money. One fun fact really quick also that like blew my mind, the live action remake actually cost less money than the original animated film did. So this film's gonna make a ton of money, but it's just one of these things where honestly, I feel like I'm in some type of moral battle with myself, where I'm like, what do I weigh more? The artistic elements or the fact that I just had a lot of fun? Does this actually justify its own existence? Or should I just honestly turn my brain off, not think about it too much, and just say, hey, I had a good time? It's just a weird situation because it's one of these things where I'm thinking, studios at the end of the day are the shot callers. They are the shot callers, obviously. It's not like the fans decide what movies get made or what don't. Don't get me wrong, we have some say depending on what our interests are, but the studios are the shot callers. And in a way, I'm thinking to myself, maybe if I could just stop being pretentious for 2 seconds every once in a while, alright? Just every once in a while, let them get one. If these are the types of movies, and just hear me out, follow along with me. If these are the types of movies that are going to keep movie theaters in business, I'll take that any day, honestly. Because quite honestly, we're not going to be getting indie projects, small budget films, if films like this aren't released. I'm just going to be honest with you. Not every original film is going to make money. Look at Mickey 17. Look at, even the Thunderbolts just came out. That's a franchise film and it's going to lose a lot of money. It's one of these things where honestly, if this is going to keep the bills paid, if this is going to keep the lights on in movie theaters so that we can all go and enjoy the other films, I'll take it. Because again, this movie, even though it's a live action remake, and I know that usually they're soulless, this one felt like it actually had heart to it. I feel like all of the beats that were super powerful in the original, and again, I just watched it 2 days ago, so I don't want to act like I'm an OG, were incredibly done, honestly. When Hiccup puts his hand out, he turns his head, loved that scene. The first flight was awesome. And another thing I feel like I need to mention, there are some small changes in here. And not just that, I think there's actually some changes and some things that I liked for the better in the live-action remake. Do I think the live-action remake's better than the original? I'll, spoil it right here. No, I don't. I don't think it's as good. With that being said, though, again, I had a lot of fun with it. There's some certain specific little nitpicky type of things that I actually liked more. I think some of the line deliveries for some of the jokes actually lended themselves better to live action because, of course, with animation, everything's very cartoonish, it's very silly, so some jokes I think landed a lot better that they redid for the live action movie in the original because they're so goofy and some over the top. But in some other ones where you really need the human facial expression to sell a joke, I think they actually worked better. And again, I just watched this movie 2 days ago, so a lot of this dialogue, 80% of the dialogue is the same from the original film. I mean, even the same director directed this movie as the original. And it just makes me think, what's the future of these live action movies? Again, I know that I'm kind of veering off here, but what's the future of live action films? Are they going to be good like this? Are they going to be told with accuracy, because honestly, I really like that. I'm going to be honest. I understand that you should always take creative risks, but with these live action remakes, I feel like this is the one exception where I'm like, please God, just stick to the original story. One thing I will say though, with that being said, sticking to the original story, you could still do your own thing. I mean, they're building these incredible sets. It's not like a CGI to death film. The CGI all looks great. Toothless is really adorable. I think the one thing, and this is just like a random little thing that I think they messed up, is the smile scene with Toothless. I feel like they didn't sell it hard enough. That's just a random nitpick, but that might be my favorite part of that original movie, or at least my favorite joke easily. And I've got to say, it's just one of these things where, again, I'm just so conflicted, because I'm like, I shouldn't like this movie. It's like my brain's telling me, no, you shouldn't like this, because honestly, this is a greedy film. This film was released just so that Universal can market their new park, Epic Universe, which has a How to Train Your Dragon land in it. It's so that they could keep this franchise relevant for the next 15 years, because they're definitely going to make a second live action one, because they already announced it, and they're for sure going to make a third live action one. So it's one of these things where it's clearly pretty much like an advertisement. But with that being said, I didn't mind it. I actually had a really good time with it. There was parts where honestly the emotions were hitting me just as hard as the original. And again, I think there's some little aspects that I actually think it did better. A random example is when Hiccup and Astrid and Toothless go to the dragon's nest for the first time. I actually think it looks a lot better in the live action film, because it's just a lot more detailed, and since there's so much more detail because it's live action, it's just a lot more menacing and it feels a lot crazier. Even the final big dragon looks a lot crazier and more evil in this film. And I've got to say, I'm happy with it. Like, I just genuinely had a good time with this film. I'm very conflicted on the inside because, again, I don't know what to rate this movie. Do I just give it an incredible rating because I had so much fun with it? Or no, it was a live action remake, so I shouldn't give it as much of a rating. It's a very odd situation, and I think that it perfectly portrays the future of Hollywood. I just feel like this is a nice, safe, in-the-middle road that maybe audiences and studios can meet at, and where we could kind of come to an agreement where it's like, hey, listen, you want to just keep making these live-action remakes? At least make them good. At least make them like the originals, because I look at Lilo and Stitch, one of my favorite animated films of all time, the original, this live-action remake, which I strongly did not like. And that's a movie that I've loved forever. How to Train Your Dragon, I just watched 2 days ago. And it's funny to me that I loved the How to Train Your Dragon one, the live-action remake, and I didn't love the Lilo and Stitch one, because they changed too much. It felt gimmicky, because they're adding in little scenes to, like, basically just sell Stitch toys. It's stupid. I feel like when you're faithful and you faithfully adapt the original source material, you can really have a hit on your hands. And again, it's just one of these weird things where it's like, well, are they not supposed to change some things up because it's going to be a new movie? Obviously, it can't just be a shot-for-shot remake. Exactly. Again, it's an odd situation, and I'm literally just like split right now. I just feel so weird. But at the end of the day, I'm happy this movie was good. I hope, again, just to really establish my point here, that if these films are going to be remade, at least make them like this. Make them have a soul. Let's let there be a little more creative freedom, because this film doesn't feel like it was made by a studio. It feels like it was made by a director, even though it is a remake, because some of these other live-action remakes, man, they felt like they were just made by the studio, basically, sort of like mandating certain things and adding in stupid scenes. This is faithful to the original, and I think that's why it worked so well. The cast is awesome. The story, as we know, is great, and I think this honestly lives up to the hype. Is it as good as the original? I don't think I could say it is, but I think that, like, the dragons looked cool with, like, the new designs, because now, again, it's live action. I think Toothless looked great. I think the cast was awesome. I think the sets were great. And the heart was still there at the end of the day. And that's what really matters. And that's why I think I really liked this movie so much. If those emotional, big moments, those classic moments didn't hit, I just don't think it would have been the same type of film. And I think that's where, like, something like Lilo and Stitch sort of failed. I know I'm kind of dogging on that movie, but it's just that it just came out. I think the reason that it failed is because all the classic moments, there was just no weight to them. They just felt so lifeless. They felt like they just had to be in there. Whereas with this film, it felt like every single line from the original flowed so well, just like they did in the original. It wasn't like, oh, I guess we have to say this line because it was in the original. No, they made it flow. They made it just like the original. And again, still a bit kind of confused because I'm like, but is that good or should they be switching things up? But I'll let you guys decide in the comments, quite honestly. If I had to give this movie a final rating, I'm going to settle with a 3.5 out of 5. It's good. It's just one of these weird things where I'm like, do I give it a 3 because it's a live action remake? Do I give it a 4? Do I think it's just as good as the original because it's literally the same movie? I don't know. I'm going to settle on a 3.5, a high 3.5 at that. It's a really good movie, but again, I'm just so confused. I've never had so little to say in a review before because my brain is like fighting itself right now. It's like that one episode of SpongeBob when they're all in his brain and there's like fires going on and it's like crazy and hectic. That's what I feel like is going on in my head right now because it's just a weird, almost moral situation. Is this movie anti-art? Is it pro-art? Is it just a good time at the end of the day? And should I stop being pretentious and saying things like anti-art? Because that's the reality of the situation. Let me know what you guys think about this movie even existing. Does it justify its own existence? I would say if I just had to give an answer, even though I'm kind of putting myself on the spot here and I didn't really think of an answer before this, I would say, honestly, I do think it justifies its own existence because I think it hits the same highs as the original, but it is different enough, even though it is a shot for shot with its actors, with its performances, with the designs of the dragons, with the sets and the practical emotions you could feel, because now you're looking at humans. I do think it justifies its own existence, and I'll actually stand on that opinion, even though I think 95% of live-action remakes don't, and I still dislike live-action remakes. But again, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.